Hi, I'm Marge Kinney. Today I'm going to paint an ocean and rocks. I live right in Southern California, so it's very easy to see many coves with jagged rocks, round rocks, beautiful scenery. That's what we get to paint today. This one has a sunset, so you'll see lots of color in the waves and on the sand, which are reflections of the sky. But ocean and rocks are my favorites, so come on and paint. Let's go. Because of time, I've made the shoreline and part of the sky, so I'm going to continue with the sky. By the way, my favorite colors of all are ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, because I can make so many colors with those. I'll show you. If I come here, I can take this blue, I can take burnt sienna. Now, if I add puddles to it like this, off to the side, you never go and make the main puddle, but I can come over here to the side and I could have a much grayer look, but I can keep this. If I were making rocks, I can have this as the dark side, and I would lean it a little bit more to the burnt sienna, and then the light side will be this color, and then I still take a little more white and make another new puddle, and it becomes this color, and I add a little bit of yellow ochre to it to again lighten it. I add a little bit more white, and this will become the color of the rocks. See, like that. So I can also make this lean more blue to make the color of the ocean. So these colors in Viridian will be in the ocean color. So this is how I will be proceeding. Alright? So I'm going to take the blue and the burnt sienna, and I'll start with those beautiful rocks there. And it looks like the front one is really quite dark. So I'm going to use both a palette knife, and being with oil, it's a little different than working with acrylic. Ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson make a very nice dark violet. All right, now I'm going to go into this and make a little bit of gray. All right, and then the next hill is going to be slightly lighter because it's in the distance. And it's getting closer to that gorgeous sunset, which we'll have in a few minutes. Going to add a little bit of orange, which we're going to have in the sunset, or it's a yellow red. Back to the gray blue. When I paint from my photos, I don't worry that it's exact because it's my creation to begin with. So as an artist, I have to pay more attention to the perspective and making things appear more in the distance. So than they may have done in real life. They may have been, it may have appeared that all the rocks look the same, but that isn't really true. They do go back, and you do lose some of the definition. Rocks can be whatever you want them to be, but they're usually dark on the inside areas where they have little caves. And again, ultramarine blue, see, this is ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. I can make little caves with it. All right, I'm going to move along with that. There's still one more rock, which is here. Who said rocks have to be all brown or black? They really aren't. They're a reflection of the water. They're so beautiful. I love being by the ocean. Every rock formation is so different. I'm working on a painting right now that's taken me over 30 hours, and it's only a 24 inch by 30 inch. So to try to do a picture like this in such a short time is pretty amazing. All right, now I'm going to go to the last one, which is out here. He's farther away, so we'll make him just get a little bit grayer, but he's also closer to the sunset. So he probably had some reaction in color to the sunset. Also, as you get closer to the water, the rock gets darker because it's wet. So we want to have most of the rocks get darker as they get closer to the ocean. Okay, now I'm going to work on this one for a minute. Looks like it's quite dark towards the front. The advantage of working with a palette knife, well, I won't be working all the way through with a palette knife, is that you can pick up many colors on the palette, on the knife. And actually, this is not called a palette knife. This is called a painting knife. A palette knife is longer, and it's used to mix colors. Okay, that gives us a little bit of a start there. So now I'm going to do one more here. Okay, that kind of fills us in there for starters. Now I'm going to move ahead and work back again with the sky that I started earlier. So this sky tends to get a little bit redder, so we're going to bring in some red tones. We'll make it a little bit exciting at first, and then we'll blend it to move it down. The reason I undertone in the burnt sienna and white is that anywhere where I missed the paint on the canvas, instead of looking like a plain white canvas, it will take up the color of the undertone. Makes your painting look more cohesive. All right, now I'm going to just take a brush, let's see. This is called a blender. Your blending brush needs to be completely dry. And then you keep brushing it on the towel. If it gets too much paint on it because you're using oil, you can always switch to a different brush and continue with a different brush, which I just did. Now when you're through with getting the main idea, I don't care for that color up there, so now you come back in and fix. You know, painting is paint and fix and paint and fix and paint and fix. So we'll make it a little bit darker up above. Now we'll go back for one more blending time. Okay, we'll leave that for now and we'll move ahead with our ocean. So I'm going to again go to burnt sienna and blue. You wouldn't believe it, but burnt sienna and blue for me make a lovely gray-blue ocean. So that's what I'm going to aim for. Now it takes quite a bit of white. All right, this color is ultramarine, azul, ultramar, et bleu de ultramar. Okay. It's bluer as you go out into the ocean because it's deeper. But as it comes to shore, there is a lot of plankton and organic matter, which is usually green. So that's what we see as the water turns to turquoise. The water is horizontal when you look at it way out at sea. And as it gets closer, you can see some waves, but the waves are very tiny way out. There are waves, but they're very tiny out, and they do get longer as they come to shore. I'm adding a little bit of Viridian. Viridian is a blue-green. It's also called phthalo green or phthalo blue. Some people like to make Z's like this, and then they cross the Z's like this. And it's kind of interesting. It can give a different effect. It shows that there are different colors in the ocean. Normally the flat side is the reflection of the sky, so we're going to need to add some color in here. When you're making a wave, it is darker behind the wave and at the bottom of the front of the wave. All right, let's add a few waves. Waves are heavier at the bottom, and as they spray up the rock, they get more misty. So we can actually take our thumb like this and mist it out a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to take this a little bit more, and I'm going to rush it down here. Here, and it had to get a little bit bigger over here. The water's turning a little more turquoise, and this area are Viridian. Now we don't go right at the edge of the rock. The rock is part of a mountain, so we leave part of the rock showing under the water, because the rock still continues. It's not just sitting on top of the water. You notice how the water would be level, but I have to come in and still leave part of the rock. Again, behind the white and in front of the white, it's usually darker. Mostly in my painting, I use flats and filberts. It has to do with either a paw like this, where it's like this, or it's flat across the top, but it's a long brush. Now when the water is coming in around a rock, it circles around it because there's still mountain beneath it. So this rock would come in like this. And we'd come around this rock this way, because there's still water. I mean, there's still rock underneath. Also, waves, because they're actually coming up into a shorter area, at one point, one part of it has to go over first. They don't all come over at once, but there is a tail of the rest of the wave that is going to come over eventually, and you'll see it roll down, usually down the beach as it's going, as it's all hitting the rest of the line. So we put the dark underneath where the water is coming in, its shadow, and we put dark behind. Okay, I've taken a couple minutes to take a look, step back, see where I'm going with this. And what I wanted to do was to put some suggestion of the sunset into the rocks, because they would have been wet and therefore reflective of the sky. So I have added some color in the top of the waves because they would have been moist and reflecting the sunlight, and also on the rocks so that they appear to be wetter. I've made some little dashes here and there to make the ocean look lively, and again try to get the Viridian shade, the lighter green, because that would be where the plant life is affecting the color of the water. This is a surprise even for me, to do this large a painting in a short time. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, I'm Marge, and I thank you very much for all of your comments, and I really enjoy knowing what part of the world you're from. Come again soon. We're going to keep painting. Hope you're painting with me.